All right, we'll go ahead and get started here. Make these for tall people. Hi, welcome to a new era in Virginia Union University basketball. Women's basketball, one of the most exciting games on the market today. I am Jim Juneau, the SID here, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce one of the finest athletic directors in the nation, Joe Taylor, who will introduce the new women's basketball coach.
Jim is auditioning for the ESPN. Every chance he gets, he works on his speech. Well, good morning. And as he said, this is a very special day for us. We, first of all, though, want to thank all of the media for your continued coverage, not just for today, but we've been here a year now, and we have really seen an increase of VUU, athletics. And we really do appreciate that because we are proud of what our young folks are doing, and not just, on the playing field, but as well as the classroom. We have 15 sports here, and we really feel that 13 are on the right path. But as you know, this is a basketball conference. This is a basketball school. So it's very important that we right that ship, and we really feel great about what we have been able to put together. First of all, I would just like, I don't know if the complete search committee is here, but if you are, would you please stand? Those who were, we just appreciate your, right. We appreciate your time, your passion, and certainly your wisdom. Now, we do have a sheet that we passed out as a press conference, a press release, talking about the person that I will be introducing. And certainly you can read that on your own, but if you just look at the focus for a moment on the bottom right-hand corner of that press release, it talks about some people that we personally contacted and talk with. We talked to Joanne McCulley. She's the head coach down at Duke. And you see the comments that certainly she put out on our hire. If you, under that person, Jim Stapleton, he's with the Board of Regents at Eastern Michigan. In fact, he went on to tell me if he had a daughter that played, the only person that he would want her to play for is Coach Gilbert. And then, of course, the former Derek Gregg, who was at Eastern Michigan as the AD, but now is at Tulsa. And I don't know if she even knows this herself, but he says that she's the next Vivian Stringer. That's powerful. That's but very, very powerful. But before I bring Ms. Gilbert up, I just want to make a few highlight notes. First of all, she brings over 20 years of coaching experience to this position. She brings a high level of competition in terms of the MAC as well as the Big Ten. A proven winner. As you can see there, teams getting to the Sweet 16. Teams have gotten to the Final Four. And she comes with, again, very high recommendation. So without further ado, I really am just pleased and very excited with this new hire. Miss Anne Marie Gilbert, she's with her family, and she'll introduce, because a lot of you all already know Jonathan Walker. He played here under Dave Robbins. But he's back, but she'll introduce the family. Again, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please come forward. And I think we got a hat for you. I don't know if you want to put it on. But there is a little pin that I need to. And we'll
Thank you so much, Coach Taylor. I just first want to thank God for this opportunity and for blessing me with the knowledge and ability to coach a game that I love so much. I am so passionate about the game of basketball. It has been so rewarding for me to work with young people and even my children. I'm so glad that God has blessed and gifted my entire family to be basketball junkies, if you will. But I'd like to not just thank God. You know, without God, none of this would be possible. I totally believe that God has gifted me and put me on this earth for the purpose of teaching young people life skills through the game of basketball. And it's not always easy. It's not always pretty, but I believe that you play the game the way you live your life. If you live your life as a person that is committed, passionate, I believe you play the game that way. And I'll talk about that as I talk about the kind of young people that I hope to recruit here. But I also like to thank my family, Jonathan Walker, a Virginia Union alum, as Coach Taylor mentioned. I think he was a pretty good basketball player. I don't know how good, but one thing I'd like to say about Jonathan is that for the past 13 years, there probably hasn't been a day or week that he has not talked about Virginia Union University. So although I didn't go to Virginia Union, you know, I didn't play here, I feel like I'm part of the family just by virtue of living through his stories and his experiences. And I'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then my children, Jada and Jaden, I just want to thank all three of you for your love, your support, throughout a career that has been very challenging and very rewarding at the same time. So I love you and I thank you for your support. I'd like to thank the Virginia Union University president, Claude Perkins, for his support and for his vision. I'd like to thank the Virginia Union University Search Committee. I want to mention, I don't know everybody, I can't remember everybody's name, but Felicia Johnson, I want to mention, thank her because she's been very helpful in the transition with some things that I've had to try to get done. Also, Jerome Furtado and his assistants as well. And I'd like to thank a young person who's been very important to this program, Jasmine Young. And if you could just stand up, Jasmine. Jasmine is a young up and coming coach, but Jasmine has really been holding it down with the program. And just talking to her, I've been very impressed that she's been doing a job that at the Division I level is often done by more than one person. So for her to pull off a recruiting weekend and her to run down the logistics of that weekend, thumbs up. I just wanted you to stand and I want to recognize you for that. And I also want to thank a person that I haven't yet met, but I've heard so many wonderful things about, and that's Dave Robbins. I see you over there. I know Jonathan Walker was a handful. You don't have to tell me without even knowing the stories. I already know. But I'm just so eager to be a sponge and to be able to pick the brain of one of the best coaches, one of the winningest coaches at any level. And, you know, similar to Dave Robbins, I'm a system coach. I have a system that I have been putting together. And, you know, Dave Robbins' system over the years probably hasn't changed. His players and personnel have. And there's something special about a program that could graduate and produce so many professional athletes. I'm just so proud to be in the room with you right now and hope to be able to talk with you about some of the success you've had here. I'd like to thank Jim Stapleton, as Coach Taylor mentioned, a former Board of Regent from Eastern Michigan University, who's just been a dear friend and a supporter all throughout my career. You know, my former and future players, some of the Virginia Union Panther ladies that are sitting here, and the former players that I have coached. It wouldn't be possible for coaches to do what they do without the student athletes that they coach and that they serve. So I just want to thank you for being here, and I look forward to working with you. But why did I choose to accept this job? You know, my first phone call with Coach Joe Taylor, it was a special conversation. And I felt that we connected on a very special level. And without knowing him, we had a very transparent conversation. And I've been very transparent throughout the process. I'm not a perfect person. I'm not a perfect coach. I am a hardworking, driven coach. And I am real. What you see is what you get. And hopefully that will be very good because I'm passionate about this game. I love working with young people. But another thing, as I did my research about Virginia Union, I know that there's been a lot of success between both programs, the men's basketball program and the women's basketball program. But it just seems like we've got to get back. We've got to bring some of that past success back to the present. And that's what I'm hoping I can do. One of the first things that I want to do is work on building and rebuilding some of the relationships with alumni within the community, within the campus itself, and within the department, just getting to know everyone and bridging gaps that may have been broken and not even know they were broken. Sometimes, bridges are interesting things. There may be links that are missing that we don't even know are missing. So I really want to do my homework and hope to build some bridges and relationships. I am a coach that likes to build relationships with my players. I want to have relationships with each of my players. And as I mentioned in the interview, that doesn't mean we're going to be hanging out at the club, but it does mean that we're going to have a special bond because, there's strength in numbers. So we're better together. We're on the same team. And sometimes it may not feel like it when you're conditioning or when you're working toward winning a championship, but we need to be unified. And that's one thing that we'll be working on. I consider myself to be someone who molds young women. And anytime, if you think of pottery or clay, anything you're molding that's going to take a different shape, it doesn't always feel good. So, when you're lifting with the strength conditioning coach and you're building your muscles, after you go and lift, you feel like, wow, that was a great workout. But the next day or a day later or 2 days later, your muscles feel sore. That's the same thing, that the process that you go through when trying to build a championship. It doesn't always feel good, but the end result is positive. And that's what you have to understand. Young people sometimes want it real quick, fast, and in a hurry, but you've got to embrace the process. A process entails some time, taking away bad habits and replacing them with good habits. So those are some of the things that we're going to be doing. My team's cumulative grade point average at Eastern Michigan over a 5-year span was 3.045. And I know the Virginia Union student athletes already are maintaining a good grade point average. We want to maintain that above 3.0 grade point average. And we want to graduate our student athletes on time. We obviously, recruiting is going to be key. I've done a lot of recruiting all over the country, but I've done some recruiting in this area. And some of the top teams in the country, we've recruited players from Boo Williams, Fairfax Stars, James River Blaze. We have recruited in this area. So I'm not a stranger to national recruiting. And for me, I'm really going to hit this area hard: Virginia, Maryland, DC, the Carolinas. We want to be even Pennsylvania, and not to take away the pipeline that exists from the Midwest already through Cleveland, Ohio, that has produced the likes of Lady Walker, an all-conference player in the program. What a great place to start. Having a piece from an area that I am very familiar with. And I want to thank Renee Wright, Coach Walker's sister, because she has really been committed to sending her best players and recommending the best players from the Midwest to Virginia Union. I mean, her players come through her program saying, I want to go to Virginia Union. They haven't even visited and they want to go to Virginia Union. They don't know where it's at, but they want to go to Virginia Union. So I'm really excited to continue to tap into that pipeline, as well as the area that I've been in, both Ohio and Michigan. I am coming most recently from coaching an AAU team, the top team, the U16 team for the Michigan crossover. And if I could draw an example of how significant that program is in the area where I'm at, it's very much like Boo Williams. It's a program that's been in existence since 1995, and it's going 20 years strong now. And we've produced hundreds of Division I athletes. And the team that I was just coaching, it's just an amazing team. So there will be a lot of athletes from that area that we can draw on as well. But one of the things that was mentioned in my interview, it was the word family. And when I think about Virginia Union and I think about all of the friends and teammates that Jonathan Walker developed throughout his career and still maintains contact with, some that are sitting in this room, it is amazing to me. And, I've got to see their children play. I got to see Terry's son play. I got to see Ben play. I got to see some of these individuals play on the professional level. But some of his past teammates are already recommending top players in the area. And so recruiting is on its way. It's sort of taking care of itself through the family concept. I saw a letter that was written by the Virginia Union University Alumni Association president, and he talked about the Union family, bringing the future back to the present, if you will. And I think those are concepts that I believe in. Families come in a lot of, excuse me, a lot of different forms. Families aren't just your mother, father, aunt, uncle, sister. Family is wherever you are. It can be wherever you are. Our team will be our family. The athletics department will be another subset of family. The community will be our family if we're visible and our faces out there to be seen. And people, you go into restaurants and they recognize you. That's Virginia Union women's basketball. We want to be visible. We want to be in the community. We want to touch lives, not just the lives of the student athletes that we're going to be coaching. But family is a very important concept. I thought about the concept of restoring Panther pride. And when we visited and I was on the interview, we stopped in a restaurant and we saw an alum who was talking to Jonathan, and he was saying, man, things have changed. At the games, there aren't a lot of people wearing Virginia Union t-shirts and stuff. We got to change that, because where I'm coming from, I'm used to having a whiteout day where everybody in the stands has on a white t-shirt and they're supporting Virginia Union, or maroon day and we're wearing maroon t-shirts. But the people coming in feel the passion of the Virginia Union fans. They feel the passion and they want to be a part of helping us build something that is positive and successful. So just restoring Panther pride. And another way that we're going to have to do that is getting, the best players that we can get. Recruiting is the lifeblood of any athletics program and of any championship team. So we're going to do quality recruiting. Also, the vision of the president and just the vision of the university, the promise of a limitless future. I really am excited about pursuing CIAA division championships and getting back to the days of 1983, winning a Division II national championship. That's why I'm here. I'm a winner. That's who I am. That's all I know. In the words, I hate to quote a rapper, but in the words of T.I., we don't want no mediocre. We don't want nothing that's mediocre. We want to strive for excellence in everything we do. We're going to play a multiple changing defensive system, that is going to be comprised of pressing. It's going to be comprised of some zone and some man defenses, but it's a multiple changing system. I worked for a program builder in Joanne P. McCauley when I was at Michigan State, and I got to be a sponge, drawing from two of the best coaches in Tom Izzo and Joanne P. McCauley in the country. They built their programs up everywhere they've been, and they've been very successful at doing that. And I told this story in my interview about how when I got to Michigan State, it was Joanne P. McCauley's third year there. And she told me the story about how when she was offered the job to come to Michigan State, she was 7 months pregnant at the University of Maine, and she had never been on Michigan State's campus. And they asked her in that interview, why should we hire you? And she said, well, after 3 years, I will have the program in postseason play. And by the end of my 5th year, we will be in the Final Four, competing for a national championship. And I got there in her 3rd year. Now, her first 2 years, she wasn't in postseason play, but that 3rd year we were in the NCAA tournament. And the fourth year, we were in the NCAA tournament. And the fifth year, we were competing for a national championship. We lost in the semifinal game to Baylor. I mean, and we went through a lot of great teams, Tennessee and Stanford, and a lot of great teams along the way. We beat UConn. We beat them all. And so I was telling the committee that when I got the job at Eastern, I said, hey, I'm a visionary. They said, well, why should we hire you for this job? I said, well, in year 3, I'm going to have the team in postseason play. And in year 5, we're going to be in the NCAA tournament. And sure enough, in year 3 at Eastern Michigan, we were in the WNIT. And year 4, we were in the WNIT. We beat Michigan twice. We beat Temple. We beat Alabama. We lost to Syracuse, maybe by 9 in the Carrier Dome. We lost to Notre Dame. We're leading against Notre Dame. So I just say that to say, you know, I've learned to be a builder from other builders. And I do want to work to rebuild this program. And I will take no credit for the success that has happened here, because another person that I want to mention, and I hope I get a chance to meet her, is Coach Wooten, because Coach Wooten has left her mark on this program. You know, if you get a chance to be a head coach, you'll learn that coaches don't stay in contracts for 20, 30 years anymore. You're lucky if you do. So it's just by God's grace that I am standing here as the next head coach at Virginia Union University. But Coach Wooten has really left her mark. She played here. She won conference championships here. She won a national championship here, as well as some of the other women in the room. So some success and the groundwork has been laid, but we just got to get back to bringing what was successful in the past. We got to bring that to the present. We got to bring it to the forefront, which means bringing some of those folks back. I know some special things are happening on the men's side as we prepare to hire a new men's coach, but it seems like some of the success of the past is coming back, Coach Taylor. But if I'm not mistaken, I'm not going to give it away, but I think some of that success is coming back. And I'm really excited about that. But I want you to know that I'm here, and I want to be a vessel that adds value to Virginia Union University. I don't want to be here to take away anything. And as I mentioned, I've been transparent throughout this process. We've talked a lot, Coach Taylor and I, you know, the search committee and I just want to, again, thank the president of Virginia Union University, the search committee, Coach Taylor, the student athletes. I just want to thank you for this opportunity. You know, I'm here. I'm not just here for 1 or 2 years. I hope I'm here for a long time to see this thing take off, just like to be a part of all the special things that are going on, the 150th anniversary, the rededication, all of those things happening at the same time. It's not by accident. It's not by accident. It's a special time. It's a special time here. And I'm looking forward to helping in any way I can. You know, like, as I mentioned, we'll be visible in the community. We'll be visible on campus. And I want to partner with individuals that need our help. We'll be at the sport contests of other sport teams. It's not just going to be about us. And being visible, yes, there's a face that you identify with the program, but it's not going to be about me. It's going to be about we. You know, there's no I in team, and there's no I in family. There are parents, there are leaders, but it's going to be about us, a unified effort. So I'm just very grateful to be here. And I thank everyone that showed up, but I'm just looking forward to the future here at Virginia Union University.
We don't want to get away. We will take a couple of Q&As if anyone wish to.
Coach Gilbert, Reggie Sports Talk. First
Yes.
off, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
How can the community, follow-up, how can the community help as far as not only bringing energy to the program, but resources such as money? I mean, the program needs money in order to travel, and also, how would the local area, such as churches, how would the team reach out to those areas?
You know, if there are events or activities that are going on that we could be a part of to help in your area, at your churches with what you're doing, I am a God-fearing young little lady, and I certainly would be on board to having our group help in any way we could. And then obviously, I'll be working with Coach Taylor to talk about the specifics of what we can do to solicit donations and how those will come in. But certainly we could use the community support in terms of giving and support of being visible. If there are tailgates or things that we're having on campus, we want to be inclusive and we want individuals to come. So hopefully we'll have tents and we'll be able to do some things where it's all inclusive. So it's not just about the women's basketball program, but it's about building a relationship with the local churches, with the local schools. We did a lot of community service projects, at Eastern Michigan, at Michigan State. We went to hospitals, we visited the sick, we read to students at middle schools. We were a part of literacy reading nights for individuals that couldn't read. We went and we read to them. So we will be looking to undertake a lot of community service initiatives, and I certainly would like to be able to involve you in those.
Some of the local coaches here in Richmond, do you have a relationship with the local coaches, or are you working on that?
I will be working on that. In fact, Jasmine Young has been doing some reaching out as well. And that's the first thing. I will be starting in this Richmond area. In fact, we've got a top prospect. We've got some top prospects in the Richmond area that we are looking at. And we really hope to make them a part of our program because there is some real talent in this area. And we're going to hit that area first. Again, we're going to try to be a strong Virginia-based program and then reach out to some of our other recruiting contacts to have a nice mesh of talent from around the country.
One last one. When you walked into Barco, saw those banners, how did it feel?
It felt really good. I felt like I was in the right place. Now we just got to get a few more women's basketball banners up there. So I have to live a long time to outdo Coach Robbins, but I'll do what I can.
Anne-Marie, so much of your background is not only D1, but very successful D1. I think 6 NCAA tournaments, including the 2005 Final Four, which you mentioned. Would you share your thoughts on coming to compete at the D2 level? Any change going to be necessary, or is basketball basketball?
In my mind, basketball is basketball. I still want to have student athletes that could compete at the Division I level. I think that if you look at what has happened on the men's side, those individuals could have been high major basketball players. And for whatever reasons, good recruiting, some misfortune or mishaps, things just didn't work out. They ended up at Virginia Union. And again, that wasn't by accident. It has been a gold mine here in terms of what can be done. But, there are going to be some changes, I'm sure. The high major level, the student athletes they seem to be a lot bigger. We are recruiting the biggest point guards and forwards and things that we could find at the high major level. But at this level, people are playing small ball. And even at the Division I level, a lot of people that can't find the bigs that they want, they're playing small ball. And I think that this is a fast conference. I think it is a talented conference. And I'll give you an example. My best player at Eastern Michigan was a small guard, about 5'5", scored over 2,000 points, was the MAC's second all-time leading scorer, shattered every record, men or women, probably in Eastern Michigan history. And, as excited as I am about that young lady was a player of the MAC and she was the Francis Palmer and Naismith Award winner for the best player in the country under 5'8". And I'm thinking she's like big stuff. And Jonathan is like, everybody in the CIAA plays like that. So he just it blew me out of the water. But those are the kind of student athletes that I want to recruit. Student athletes, that young lady graduated with a health administration degree, above a 3.0 grade point average. She's playing professionally overseas, averaging over 18 points a game. So I don't think the landscape changes much. I think we're going to get the best kids that we can get that could possibly have gone Division I, maybe at a school that's not a conference championship winner, and convince them that we're going to be conference champions. I mean, I want us to win our division like next year. So we got a lot of work to do, Jasmine. But we want to win. We want to win this thing, not like in 3 years. We want to turn it around and be coaches of the year and team of the year, like next year. So we've got a lot of work to do.
Now, I think you indicated Jasmine will be with his assistant.
Well, we have never, this is our first time meeting, but things look very good. Let me just say, she's a young person that I have grown to respect. And I will tell you on my interview, I said, no, no way. When you come into a job, you have to clean house, you have to have your own people going forward. But I think Jasmine's been honest. She's been very, very sincere and hardworking. So we'll have our first conversation actually today. So that's premature, but you know what? I like the idea. I definitely do.
I'm full of questions now. Are any of the girls from your crossover AAU team going to be coming with you?
It's too early to predict that. But the team that I was just coaching, a lot of the athletes on that team are they're high major kids. And, I haven't talked to any of the players that I have been coaching about this. In fact, my team is going to be competing down here this weekend. So I'm really excited for them because they could go far in the Boo Williams tournament this weekend.
Well, they're playing in Hampton.
Yeah, they'll be playing in Hampton this weekend.
Now, your children are Jada,
Jada and Jaden,
how do you spell it?
Jada.
And how old is she?
She's 13.
And J-A-D-N?
Yes,
And he is?
10.
One other question. How did you meet
I was a head coach at Division III many years ago, and at Division III, you wear a lot of hats. So I was the women's athletic director. I was the assistant track coach. I taught physical education classes, and I was an admissions recruiter. And I was working an admissions fair at the junior college where he coached. And I had a break in between our program there. It was a recruiting night, and we were just recruiting general students to the school where I was working. And I was out in the parking lot on my cell phone, and Jonathan Walker drove his car up with a bunch of his boys' basketball shoes in the trunk. And he came and asked me for my help. And I was on the phone like, I can't believe this guy is interrupting my conversation to ask me to help him unload shoes. But I helped him unload the boxes into the car, and I was actually dating someone at that time, someone else. And Jonathan actually came and visited the school where I coach, and he left his business card. So he was very persistent. And long story short, I did go out on a date with him, and he actually can sing. He sings very well. I think, lady, Renee Wright can sing. Jonathan can sing. So he just crooned his way into my life. I want to say that. And the many nights of shooting free throws, we like to see who can string 100 free throws in a row. And I have to say he won the first date. That's what we did. We went to the gym. Our first date, we went to the gym to see who could make 100 free throws in a row. He won. And you know that a persistent woman is not going to let it be over with you winning. So we probably stayed 7 hours in the gym so I could win. But he probably is the better shooter. But that is how I met him.
Then you were an Oberlin at the time.
Yes, I was.
Amber, you mentioned what you like to do defensively, switching defenses, things of that nature. Clearly, so much of your background is high-powered offense. Talk a little bit about what fans can expect to see from their team offensively. How do you want to play in that?
I want to play up-tempo basketball. I like to run a structured break off makes and misses. Coming from working with Joanne P. McCauley, she played a matchup defense that was a multiple changing defense. It might start out looking like a 1-2-2 and end up looking like a 2-3, but it just changes depending on what the offense does. And it just reminds me, the teaching of it reminds me so much of watching clips of Coach Robbins just how detailed and how much of a taskmaster he is at how to close out, whether you're forcing sideline or the sideline baseline push. There are a lot of things about these defenses that have to be done right in order for them to work. And with an athletic team and a long team, they can be very difficult to play against. But, I am someone who I like to run a structure break. I like to get easy baskets. That's what we're trying to get. Not to say that we don't like to shoot the three, but when you've got a young person, young people, a couple post players that can catch, score, and finish. A lot of coaches talk about being inside out coaches. I really am an inside out coach. I want the ball to touch the post hands and then come out. Not to say if we have lightning quick guards that they can't score it, but if you got bigs that can score, there's nothing worse than having a big run up and down the floor and never get touches. And then as a coach, you yelling, "Why aren't you rebounding? Rebound, rebound!" And they're like, "Well, why aren't you passing? Pass, pass." So, no. Yeah, I look Lady Walker right in the eyeballs, and I said that, and I mean it. And you hold me to it because that's who I am. We're gonna get you that ball.
One last question, Coach. Virginia State has been a thorn in Virginia Union's side. I hate to say it, that's a big rival. What are you going to say to Panther Nation about taking on your number one rival?
I mean, we're taking on all comers. We're not just Virginia State. But you know what? But one thing I will say, I'm a student of the game. I like to watch film. I like to prepare. I like to break teams down. And everything you do, we're going to know about it. I mean, unless you just put it in last night, we're gonna know about it, and we're gonna walk through it, and we're gonna be ready for it. And they're gonna be like, "Man, did they have film in our practice? How did they know what we were doing?" Because I'm gonna study it, and I'm gonna restudy it, and Jasmine's gonna study it, and she's gonna restudy it. But we're gonna be people that are well prepared for our opponents.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, this concludes the press conference. We will be having a meeting with the team. And on tomorrow, we will be releasing a press release for the name or the announcing of our new men's coach, which will take place in here next Tuesday at 1 o'clock to name our men's coach. But thanks for coming and have a good evening.